In a world far from our own, there was a nation called the United Districts, comprised of four distinct regions: the Northern District, the Western District, the Southern District, and the Eastern District. The Northern District boasted Pearl City as its capital, while the Western District, often referred to as the West Coast, had its own capital named West Coast City. The Southern District's capital was Santa Fe, a city renowned for its lush greenery and vibrant nature. Unlike the Western District, which was largely devoid of plants and natural beauty, the Northern District had nature primarily in its southern regions, adding to the diversity of the land. The West Coast was unique, operating almost like an independent country within the United Districts. It was divided into the north side and the south side by a branch, extending from the Eastern District. Entering the West Coast was nearly impossible for outsiders. One needed a passport, verification by the president, and his approval. Even then, visitors were only permitted to stay for 1 day in the north side and 5 days in the south side. The south side, known for its pristine beaches and luxurious lifestyle, was a paradise for the wealthy. In contrast, the north side, home to the average and poor, housed the president of the West Coast and the president of the Eastern District. The governance of the United Districts was centralized under a main president, with 4 secondary presidents each managing a district. The Eastern District, however, was shrouded in mystery. It was a land of vast dead plants and a lethal, toxic fog called the internal fog. Inhaling the fog caused excruciating symptoms and eventual death. The government concealed the dangers of the East, leaving the general population unaware of its true nature. Despite the risks, some dared to venture into the East, driven by the desire to climb the Red Tower, a towering dead branch, reaching the highest point in the region. This journey began with the nearly impossible task of entering the West Coast. Those who succeeded had to gain approval from the East Coast president, residing in the north side of the West Coast. Only 10 people were allowed to embark on this perilous expedition at a time. Once approved, the climbers enjoyed an extra day in the south side, relishing its splendor. The chances of their return were publicly stated to be 5%, though in reality, none ever returned. After this brief respite, the climbers set off on the trip, a 1-day drive to the east coast of the Southern District, accompanied by 5 East Coast Squadron members, ECSM, who specialized in researching the East. The journey continued on the Red Boat, a fishing vessel that transported them up the river to the real East Coast, navigating through the dense, internal fog, disembarking at the aptly named Internal Beach. The ECSM revealed the East's true horrors: deadly creatures lurking beyond the beach. Within the forest, equipped with suits and gas masks, the climbers and ECSM ventured into the forest, encountering small black creatures whose bite was instantly fatal. The path through the east was divided into 3 sections: the beach, the infinite forest, and the Red Tower. The forest was the most treacherous, filled with infinite branches, dead leaves, and terrifying monsters. As the journey progressed, the climbers fell one by one. Our protagonist witnessed the last member being devoured by a colossal black Titan creature, yet pressed on alone. He finally reached the base of the Red Tower and began his ascent. It took him a day to reach the top, battling exhaustion and dwindling resources. At the summit, the fog cleared, revealing the distant cities, but the thin atmosphere made breathing impossible. Realizing his fate was sealed, he removed his oxygen mask and whispered, "Guess this is it?" before leaping from the Red Tower into the abyss of the fog below. He was never seen again, becoming another lost soul in the enigmatic and deadly East.